Welcome to today's episode of Rambling Randomly, where today we dive into the powerful and underappreciated role of consistency in achieving long term success. We often hear motivational speakers and entrepreneurs talk about the importance of setting big, audacious goals and striving for greatness. But there's one simple yet crucial factor that underpins all long term achievement: consistency. We'll be breaking down why consistency is so important, how it works, and practical strategies for applying it in your own life, from building habits to overcoming setbacks, and even looking at how consistency shapes success in various fields like business, health, and personal development. Today's episode will provide actionable insights to help you harness the power of consistency. So, why does consistency matter? It's not about doing something perfectly every time, it's about showing up day in and day out, even when things get tough, even when progress feels slow. Over time, small, consistent actions compound, and that's when long term success begins to unfold. Let's dive in. The science of consistency. To understand why consistency is such a vital component of success, we first need to look at what's happening behind the scenes, what's going on in our brains and our bodies when we make the decisions to stay consistent. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to recognize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. This process allows the brain to adapt to new experiences and learn new skills, and even recover from injury. While we engage in consistent behaviors, we essentially reshape our brain to make those behaviors easier and more automatic over time. Every time we repeat an action, such as writing, exercising, or practicing a skill, the neurons in our brain responsible for that activity communicate with one another. Over time, these neural pathways become stronger and more efficient, reducing the cognitive load required to perform that task. In other words, consistency allows tasks that were once difficult with energy draining tendencies to become almost automatic. For example, when someone learns to play a musical instrument, at first their brain has to work hard to coordinate finger movements, read music, and process sound. However, with consistent practice, these actions require less mental effort and the brain becomes more efficient. The same is true for learning a new language, improving athletic performance, or mastering any skill. The habit loop: cue, routine, and reward. The habit loop is a neurological pattern that governs the creation of habits, which is at the heart of consistency. This loop consists of three components: the cue, or the trigger. This is the event that triggers the brain to start the habit loop. It could be an external trigger, like hearing an alarm, or an internal one, like feeling stressed. Routine, or behavior. This is a habitual action you perform in response to the cue. Over time, with repetition, this routine becomes ingrained in your brain and is triggered automatically by the cue. The reward. This is positive reinforcement that your brain receives after completing the action. Rewards could be physical, like feeling of pleasure; emotional, like a sense of achievement; or psychological, like relief from stress. The more frequently we repeat the habit loop, the more automatic and ingrained the behavior becomes. Eventually, the cue triggers a behavior without much thought, and the reward reinforces the desire to keep going. This is the science behind why consistent habits are so powerful. They become easier and require less effort over time. For instance, someone who consistently exercises every morning may feel the urge to go for a run as soon as they wake up. They follow through with the behavior, and afterward, they experience a rewarding feeling of endorphins and satisfaction. Over time, the body and the brain begin to crave this routine, and this process becomes more automatic. Dopamine and motivation: why consistency feels rewarding. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that plays a key role in reward, motivation, and pleasure. It's released when we anticipate or experience something positive, such as achieving a goal or completing a task. Interestingly, dopamine is not only released when we interestingly, dopamine is not only released when we achieve a goal, but also when we make progress towards a goal. When we engage in consistent, small actions, our brain releases dopamine, which reinforces our desire to continue pursuing our objectives. The chemical reward helps us to stay motivated and is crucial for habit formation. The brain begins to associate consistent actions with positive feelings, making us more likely to repeat them. However, one of the challenges of consistency is that dopamine levels can fluctuate based on perceived size of the reward. When we expect big results or instant gratification, we may not get the same dopamine boost from smaller, consistent actions. This is why people often struggle with maintaining consistency at the beginning of a new project or habit. They aren't yet seeing significant results, and the immediate reward feels too small. Understanding this helps us to realize that staying consistent, even when results aren't immediately visible, is key. Over time, the cumulative rewards of small actions create a large enough dopamine release to keep us motivated and on track. The role of the prefrontal cortex, the executive function and decision making area of the brain. The prefrontal cortex is a region of the brain responsible for decision making, planning, impulse control, and goal setting. It plays a crucial role in helping us remain consistent, as it's part of the brain that helps us to override temptations, stay focused, and make decisions aligned with our long term goals. When we're consistent in our actions, we engage the prefrontal cortex in ways that strengthen our ability to prioritize long term rewards over immediate gratification. For example, someone who consistently avoids junk food to maintain a healthy lifestyle is using their prefrontal cortex to resist the immediate gratification of eating unhealthy food in favor of long term benefit of improved health. However, the prefrontal cortex can become depleted over time. Studies have shown that our ability to exercise self control and stay consistent can be undermined. However, the prefrontal cortex can become depleted over time. Studies have shown that our ability to exercise self control and stay consistent can be undermined when we make too many decisions or are under chronic stress. This is why it's important to reduce decision fatigue and build habits that require less conscious effort, thereby relying more on the automatic process of the brain. Consistent habits are reinforced over time and help the cognitive load of the prefrontal cortex, making it easier to stay disciplined in other areas of life. Consistency and the brain's reward system. The role of the striatum. The striatum is a part of the brain involved in the motivation and reward. Also plays an important role in consistency. It's responsible for reinforcing behaviors that lead to pleasurable outcomes, which is why consistency becomes easier and more automatic as we progress. When you perform an action that leads to positive outcome, example, the feeling of accomplishment, a self, a sense of relief or joy, the striatum releases dopamine, reinforcing the behavior. This is especially true when the behavior becomes a habit. Over time, the brain becomes wired to associate consistent actions with positive outcomes. The brain's reward system helps create a feedback loop that makes habits stick. It's why the people feel the desire to keep going after they see even a small bit of progress, whether it's in the form of improved health, professional achievements, or personal growth. The role of consistency in reducing the cognitive load. When we are learning something new or engaging in a challenging task, the brain uses more cognitive resources to process and execute that behavior. However, as we repeat the behavior consistently, it becomes ingrained, and the brain is able to complete the task with less mental effort. This is known as reducing the cognitive load. For example, a beginner learning to type will initially focus on finding the correct keys and forming words. Over time, as the typing becomes more consistent, the brain's ability to process that action becomes more efficient, allowing the person to type faster and with fewer errors. This concept of reducing cognitive load is essential for maintaining consistency over time. When actions become automatic and less mentally taxing, it's easier to stay committed to long-term goals. Consistency ultimately reduces the amount of effort to perform tasks, freeing up mental resources for other areas of focus. The importance of consistency in building momentum. Momentum is often described as the energy or force that propels you forward, making it easier to continue in the direction you've chosen. Just like a snowball rolling downhill, momentum can start small, but can build rapidly as it gains speed and mass. Consistency is a key driver in creating and maintaining that momentum. The compound effect, or the small actions leading to exponential growth. The idea of momentum is intricately tied to compound effect, which suggests that small, consistent actions taken over time lead to exponential growth. The compound effect is a principle that, while individual actions might seem insignificant in short term, over time they accumulate and result in substantial progress. Illustration of the compound effect. Imagine you want to get healthier and decide to run just 10 minutes every day. On day one, it might feel like you're not making much difference. But by day 30, you've run 300 minutes, which is the equivalent of 5 hours. By day 35, you'll have run over 60 hours. A remarkable amount of time. Just those daily 10-minute runs compound into something far greater than the sum of their parts. This principle is applicable in almost every aspect of life, whether it's saving money, learning a new skill, or building a business. Small, consistent steps, even if they don't show immediate or dramatic results, can snowball into remarkable long term progress. The key is persistence and maintaining the consistency of these small actions over time. Building momentum through repetition. Momentum in its most basic form is simply the result of repetition. Every time we repeat an action, we're increasing the likelihood that the next action will happen more smoothly and efficiently. Consistency is a force behind the momentum building process because it forces you to repeat tasks, refine your approach, and improve over time. Muscle memory and skill acquisition. Think about how athletes build momentum in training. At first, every practice session feels like a struggle. However, through consistent repetition, their skills improve and tasks that once seemed difficult become easier. For instance, when a basketball player practices free throws every day, muscle memory kicks in, and soon they don't even have to consciously think about the mechanics. They simply do it. Repetition builds automaticity, which accelerates progress. Let's look at the business application of it. In business, entrepreneurs often experience this momentum building process. The first few months of starting a new venture may feel like you're moving at a snail's pace. You'll have cold call clients, spend hours refining your product or service, and working long nights on marketing. But as the months go by and consistency remains a priority, those small actions build up, creating a foundation that supports bigger opportunities. Eventually, your customer base grows and your brand becomes more recognizable. The momentum built through consistent effort can lead to rapid growth once it's established. The power of consistency in breaking the starting barrier. One of the most difficult aspects of achieving long term success is simply getting started. The initial hurdle of beginning something new is often the most challenging part of the process, and the lack of immediate results can be discouraging. Consistency is important because it helps to overcome that barrier. Once you commit to a task consistently, even if the outcomes don't appear to be immediate, you're still building momentum. Momentum itself is a key motivator. When you show up each day and do the work, no matter how small, the momentum itself encourages you to continue breaking through the resistance. Whether you're working on a personal project, a fitness goal, or learning a new skill, the first few weeks or months can feel like resistance is holding you back. When the results aren't immediately visible, it's easy to feel discouraged. But the fact of staying consistent, even when it seems like you're not making progress, actually helps you break through the resistance. Over time, as you stay true to your commitment, progress accelerates, and what once felt like a insurmountable challenge becomes more manageable. The role of consistency and motivation. This is where consistency and motivation intersect. It's common to think that motivation is the driving force behind success. However, motivation itself is fickle. It fluctuates based on emotion, external circumstances, or how tired we feel. Consistency, on the other hand, doesn't rely on motivation. Consistency means showing up every day, whether you feel like it or not. And as a result, it gradually builds to its own kind of intrinsic motivation. As momentum builds, you begin to see results which turn fuels your desire to keep going. Consistency, or the key to turning progress into momentum. As important as consistency is to building momentum, it's equally important to understand that consistency alone is not enough. It's how consistency translates into progress that leads to true momentum. Sustained effort over time. When you take consistent action, you're able to track your progress. As you see that progress, it becomes a source of motivation. For instance, a writer might start with a goal of writing 200 words every day. Initially, that doesn't seem like much, but as weeks go by, 200 words begin to add up. The writer can now see tangible progress, a chapter of a book, or a set of articles completed, and that progress drives the next set of consistent action. Let's look at Thomas Edison's light bulb. Now, the famous inventor Thomas Edison is often quoted as saying, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." Edison's relentless consistency in his experiments is a perfect example of how repeated small efforts lead to mass breakthroughs. While he famously faced thousands of failures, each failure provided him with valuable lessons that contributed to his eventual success. The momentum he built through continuous experimentation ultimately led to the invention of the electric light bulb, changing the world forever. Consistency in creative fields. In creative fields like music, writing, or art, building momentum through consistent practice is essential for breakthrough moments. Consider authors who publish multiple books over decades. The first book may not be a massive success, but the writer continues to improve their craft through consistent effort. Over time, their body of work accumulates, and their name becomes known. The momentum from past work opens up opportunities for more significant recognition and success. The role of consistency in maintaining momentum over time. It's one thing to build momentum, but sustaining it is an entirely different challenge. Momentum can be fragile. It requires consistent effort, not just to get started, but to continue moving forward. The role of routine. One of the most effective ways to maintain momentum is to develop routines that facilitate consistent progress. A routine makes this process predictable and reduces the amount of energy required to get started. For example, the early morning routines of successful people often involve starting their day with a few simple positive habits like exercise, journaling, or reading that help them build momentum for the rest of the day. By sticking to these routines, they ensure that they don't lose their momentum, even during busy or challenging periods. Minimizing distractions. Consistency requires focus, and as momentum builds, distractions can derail your progress. Consistent effort involves cultivating habits that minimize distractions and create an environment conducive to sustained action. Whether it's creating a quiet workplace, setting boundaries, or developing time management skills, maintaining focus is key to sustaining the momentum you've worked so hard to build. The importance of adaptation. While consistency is essential, it's also important to adapt and to adjust your approach when needed. Sometimes the methods that helped you build momentum early may need to evolve as you face new challenges or as your circumstances change. Adaptability ensures that the momentum you've built can continue forward, even when obstacles arise. Consistency doesn't mean stubbornly doing the same thing without thought. It's about adjusting while staying true to your long term goals. The role of consistency in overcoming challenges and failures. Consistency is a fundamental trait that underpins success in overcoming challenges and failures. It is a persistent effort to maintain focus, actions, and habits despite setbacks, uncertainties, or difficulties. Here's a more detailed exploration of its role. Building momentum through repetition. Consistency establishes momentum. When actions are repeated over time, they build a cumulative effect that can lead to significant progress. For example, practice helps athletes improve their skills regardless of initial failures or challenges. Developing resilience. Challenges and failures are inevitable, but consistency helps foster resilience. By showing up daily and putting in effort, individuals strengthen their ability to persevere, even when the results are not immediately visible. Resilience, in turn, creates a positive feedback loop that encourages persistence. Turning failures into learning opportunities. Failures often provide valuable lessons. Consistency ensures individuals remain engaged long enough to analyze setbacks and extract insight. Over time, this iterative process of learning and improving transforms failures into stepping stones for future success. Reinforcing discipline and focus. Overcoming challenges requires staying focused on long term goals. Consistency acts as a discipline building mechanism, helping individuals avoid distractions and maintain their commitment to the process. This sustained focus is essential for navigating obstacles and staying aligned with desired outcomes, creating habits that support success. Success is the result of small, repeated actions rather than monumental, one time effort. Consistency turns these small actions into habits, which become automatic over time. These habits form a strong foundation for handling challenges with greater ease. Repeated actions, enhancing confidence and self belief. Repeated actions lead to incremental achievement, which boosts confidence. Consistency allows individuals to see tangible progress, reinforcing the belief that challenges can be overcome and can be mitigated. Maintaining emotional stability. In the face of adversity, emotional reactions can fluctuate. Consistency provides a stabilizing force, offering a sense of purpose and direction. By focusing on regular efforts, individuals can better manage stress and maintain emotional balance during tough times. Compounding results over time. The power of consistency lies in its compounding effect. Even small, consistent efforts can yield extraordinary results when sustained over time. For instance, daily patience in a skill or gradual lifestyle changes can lead to significant transformation. Building a support system. Consistent behaviors often inspire the trust and reliability of others, which can lead to the development of a strong support network. Having a community of like minded individuals can provide motivation and resources to overcome challenges. Practical steps to cultivate consistency. You can set clear goals, define specific, measurable, and achievable objectives to stay focused. Create a routine. Develop a structured schedule to embed consistent actions into daily life. Track their progress. Monitor achievements to stay motivated and identify areas for improvement. Stay flexible. Adapt your approach when necessary, but remain committed to the overarching goal. Celebrate the small wins. Acknowledge progress to maintain enthusiasm and sustain effort. Practical strategies for developing consistency. Developing consistency is essential for achieving long-term success, overcoming challenges, and creating habits that support your goals. Below are practical strategies to build and sustain consistency across various aspects of life. Set clear and achievable goals. Why it matters. Clear goals provide direction and purpose, ensuring your efforts align with desired outcomes. How to do it. Use a SMART framework. specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Break larger goals into smaller, manageable tasks. Write down your goals to create a sense of accountability. Create a structured routine. Why it matters. A routine simplifies decision making and embeds consistent behaviors into daily life. How to do it. Identify key tasks and schedule them at the same time each day. Establish morning and evening rituals to anchor your day. Use tools like planners, calendars, or apps to maintain structure. Start small and build gradually. Why this matters. Small, manageable steps reduce the likelihood of burnout and increase the chances of sustaining consistency. How to do it. Begin with micro goals or action. For example, take a 5-minute exercise instead of an hour. Focus on building momentum before increasing intensity or complexity. Celebrate the small wins to stay motivated. Focus on one change at a time. Why this matters is trying to change too many things at once can be overwhelming and counterproductive. How do you focus on changing things one at a time? Prioritize one habit or area of focus before adding others. Master that first change before progressing to the next. Reflect on what worked and apply those lessons to future changes. Use reminders and triggers. Why do reminders and triggers matter? Visual or situational cues can help reinforce behaviors and keep goals on the top of your mind. How do I do this? Well, set reminders on your phone or sticky notes in visible places. Use triggers like brushing your teeth as cues for related habits, as in stretching after brushing. Pair your new habits with existing routines for smoother integration. Embrace accountability. Why does this matter? Being accountable to yourself or others strengthens your commitment. How do you do this? Well, share your goals with a trusted friend or mentor or an accountability partner. Join groups or communities with similar objectives. Use apps or journals to track and review progress. Manage your environment. Why does managing your environment matter? Well, your surroundings can either support or hinder your consistent behavior. Do this by removing distractions or obstacles that make consistency difficult. Arrange your environment to make desired behaviors more accessible. For example, placing workout gear in plain sight. Create a workspace or area dedicated to your goals. Develop a resilient mindset. Why does a resilient mindset matter? That challenges and setbacks are inevitable, and resilience keeps you on track. How do you do this? View the setbacks as learning opportunities rather than failures. Practice positive self talk to maintain motivation. Focus on long term progress rather than short term perfection. Track progress and reflect regularly. Why does tracking progress matter? Well, monitoring progress builds awareness and helps you to stay motivated. To track progress and reflect regularly, keep a journal or a log of your efforts and outcomes. Review your progress weekly or monthly to identify patterns and areas for improvement. Celebrate milestones and adjust your approach as needed. Reward consistent behavior. Why does rewarding the behavior matter? It provides positive reinforcement and encourages you to maintain consistent habits. How do you do this? Reward yourself for completing tasks or achieving milestones. For example, do something enjoyable. Use non material rewards like taking a break or spending time with loved ones. Reflect on the intrinsic satisfaction of progress as a motivator. Stay flexible but committed. Why does staying flexible but committed matter? Life is unpredictable, and flexibility ensures consistency is realistic and sustainable. Do this by adapting your routine to accommodate unexpected changes while staying true to your goals. Focus on consistency over perfection. Missing a day doesn't mean failure. Reassess your strategies periodically to ensure they remain effective. Cultivate patience. Why does cultivating patience matter? Well, consistency is a long term investment and results may take time. How to do it. Remind yourself that progress is gradual and cumulative. Avoid comparing your journey to others. Focus on your unique path. Celebrate effort as much as outcomes to stay organized. The connection between consistency and self discipline. Well, consistency and self discipline are closely intertwined, with each playing a critical role in fostering personal growth, overcoming challenges, and achieving long term success. While consistency focuses on regular, sustained effort, self discipline provides internal control and resolve to maintain that effort. Here's how these two steps are connected. Consistency strengthens self discipline. Consistency reinforces self discipline by creating routines and habits that make disciplined behavior easier over time. The more you practice self control, the stronger it becomes, turning effortful actions into automatic habits. For example, a person committed to exercising daily develops a habit over time, requiring less conscious effort to stay disciplined. Both require commitment to long term goals. Consistency and self discipline are rooted in a commitment to a long term objective. Self discipline helps prioritize these objectives over short term gratification, while consistency ensures progress is made step by step. For example, saving for a financial goal requires self discipline to avoid unnecessary spending and consistency in regularly setting aside money, overcoming emotional fluctuation. Self discipline enables you to act consistently even when emotions or circumstances fluctuate. It helps to maintain focus during moments of doubt, fatigue, or frustration, ensuring that temporary feelings don't derail progress. For example, a writer working on a novel must remain consistent even on days when inspiration is lacking, by relying on self discipline to keep writing. Developing habits through repetition. Consistency is essential for turning self discipline into habit. Repetition solidifies behaviors, making them less resilient. Repetition solidifies behaviors, making them less reliant on willpower and more automatic over time. For example, a person waking up early to meditate every day initially relies on self discipline, but eventually forms a habit that feels natural. Mutual reinforcement in achieving goals. Consistency and self discipline reinforce each other in positive feedback loop. Consistency and self discipline reinforce each other in a positive feedback loop. Regular efforts bolster self discipline, while strong self discipline ensures consistent actions are maintained. For example, an entrepreneur consistently working on their business plan strengthens their self discipline by proving to themselves that they can stay focused and committed, building resilience against setbacks. Self discipline provides the mental toughness to persevere through setbacks, while consistency ensures that progress continues despite failures or obstacles. For example, a marathon runner training through minor injuries demonstrates self discipline to keep going and consistency to build endurance over time. Reducing the resilience on motivation. Motivation is fleeting, while self discipline ensures consistency even when motivation is absent. Over time, consistent effort reduces dependence on motivation by normalizing productive behaviors. For example, a student who studies every evening develops a routine that doesn't rely on feeling motivated to engage in productive work. The role of self awareness. Self discipline requires self awareness to recognize distractions, impulses, or excuses that hinder consistency. By understanding these barriers, individuals can implement strategies to stay on track. For example, a dieter who identifies emotional eating as a barrier uses self discipline to choose healthier alternatives consistently. The foundation for long term success. Both consistency and self discipline are critical for achieving sustained success. Self discipline initiates a process, while consistency ensures steady progress towards goals. For example, a musician who practices daily leverages self discipline to start practicing and consistency to improve their craft over time. Practical tips to strengthen the connection: set clear priorities, define what matters most to create a focus for self discipline and consistency. Break goals into small steps. Smaller, manageable actions are easier to approach consistently. Reward progress. Celebrate milestones to reinforce discipline and consistent behavior. Track habits. Use tools like habit trackers to visualize progress and stay motivated. Develop a strong why. Understand why your goal is meaningful to maintain self discipline and consistency over the long haul. To sum up, consistency is the unsung hero of long term success. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of quick wins and overnight success. But the truth is, sustained achievement is built on small, consistent efforts over time. Whether you're working towards a fitness goal, growing your business, or improving your skills, the key to success lies in showing up every day, regardless of how challenging or insignificant those actions might seem in the moment. Consistency doesn't mean perfection, it means persistence. It's all about making small, daily choices that compound over time, leading to extraordinary results. So take a moment and think about your own goals. What's one area in your life where you can apply more consistency? Start small, build momentum, and keep showing up. The road to success might not always be glamorous, but it's steady and more reliable with consistency. You'll reach places you never thought possible. Thanks for joining me on today's episode of Rambling Randomly. I hope you feel inspired and equipped to embrace your consistency and your journey toward long term success. Keep pushing forward, and as always, remember success is a sum of small, consistent actions